All right.
Kamala, you're
That's
up.
me today.
Oh, here we go. They're now talking about Daniel Prude.
Several high-ranking officials submitted paperwork to retire. CNN's Alexandra Field has more.
Good. Let's give her an accurate coverage here because the original headlines were misleading.
Laurent Singletary, the police chief in Rochester, says he is retiring because of the mischaracterization and politicization of his actions in the aftermath of the death of Daniel Prude. For some context here, there have been accusations that information about the death was withheld. There has also been sparring with the mayor's office over
Actually,
whether or
no,
not
the accusations were initially racism. He doesn't say that. Now that they have the it's tough to do when you have that overlay of the black guy with the cross going on. Accusations that it was mishandled. Really, how is it mishandled? Well, we didn't know that this man looked this way
at the
when
time.
we accused the police. It was very dark in the video. Really, we probably should have waited for more facts overall, and we certainly didn't know that he was black.
We would never accuse him.
We saw the badge and said bad guy.
Right, we saw the badge and said bad guy.
And don't forget to add him to the list, right? You've got, just a couple days ago, the chief of police in the city of Dallas.
Yep.
First black woman to be the chief of police in the city of Dallas. Largely criticized for taking a stand against the violence from some of the protesters in Dallas. Retired. Or resigned, or gave her resignation.
I think we even have some overlays for that. Yeah. We have Dallas, Portland.
Yeah.
Police chief resigned. Also
Seattle.
a woman, I believe it was a black woman. And Seattle, Portland, Dallas, Seattle. And not to mention there have been entire shifts of police who weren't the chiefs who have walked off.
City of Atlanta, don't forget there. Woman chief of police resigned. Yeah.
Wow. There's no benefit to being a police officer, being in that
I've got to imagine that recruitment is at an all-time low right now.
Low.
Let me show you the clip because we've done this with Dion KJ. Again, this is my challenge out there, okay? I want everyone, send me one video of a minority suspect, a minority basic pullover, not even a suspect, someone who's speeding, who gets pulled over by a white cop and is being polite, hands at 10 and 2 saying, hey, officer, I'm a concealed carry, bang, 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 bang. Something like that. Nothing is even close. Jacob Blake, Dion K, Mike Brown, Rayshard Brooks, Daniel Prude, not even close. Just find me one video that suits the narrative that you have been out pushing recently. That there is license to execute innocent black men in the streets if you're a police officer. That is what they are running on. It's not based on statistical fact. More white people are shot by police officers, and a higher percentage of white people are shot by police officers when you take into account police interactions. It's not based on fact, but even anecdotally, you're rioting in the streets over something that I'm about to show you guys. Usually people would warn you and say, this is graphic. I'll tell you what, this man does die, Mr. Prude. Yeah. But this video is not graphic. What you are going to see is exactly what the public has seen. What is outrageous? Keep in context that there was a phone call made because he was absolutely out of his mind, and you can hear his interactions with the officer. This is what has sparked the outrage in the community where now a black police chief is resigning. This is Daniel Prude.
Now give me the mace. Give me the mace.
Give me the mace.
Give me the mace. On my mama's
naked?
blood, they
Yes.
looking
Yes, he is
over my
naked.
grave. I mean that.
So they put on the spit hood. This is at the
Give me that gun.
early outbreak of COVID. Give me the gun.
Give me that gun, not me. All right. Take this off that gun, not me.
You know what's crazy? Look at how loud he is.
Yeah, and look at this. This is the most violent portion of the pin, by the way. Look at that. There isn't even any weight on him. The guy's talking very clearly. His head is to the side. There isn't a knee on his neck. There isn't a knee on his torso.
Calm down. Stop. Calm down. Calm down, okay?
That's a reenactment of a Klan rally, if I've ever seen one. Calm down, sir. Calm down. Give me a gun. Give me a gun. He's talking about his big penis when you watch the full video. He's out of his mind. I understand it. We're compassionate. Someone is out of their mind. But guess what? Officers need to go home, too. And do we have to act like people who've been out of their mind, who need psychiatric help, haven't harmed people, especially when they're spitting and chanting, give me your gun, give me your gun, I got a big dick?
It's that last part that really seals it for me.
He'd already been taken in for suicidal behavior, okay? Yeah. He was running naked. He was asking for their guns. He told them he had COVID. He was spitting. So take it up with Fauci and the Fauci hood. By the way, that is far less. People talk about how the oxygenate, it's not a problem with the COVID masks. Yeah. Those things are far less thick than, it's basically like a linen shirt that a drug dealer would use. It's a Pablo Escobar shawl.
Linen.
Yeah, and I mean,
Linen.
it's obviously like you can't just come out and say, hey, this is really sad that this happened, right? It didn't seem like the cops were racist. The cops didn't say anything bad. The cops weren't mistreating
They weren't
him.
beating him.
They weren't brutal towards this guy.
They didn't even hit him.
No, exactly. That's what I'm saying. So we could all have come together and say, gosh, we got to figure out how that doesn't happen. Like, how did this happen? What went wrong here?
I'll tell you what,
for this
and
guy
I'll go to Bill
died?
because systemically maybe we can find out how to do it. But individually, don't do PCP.
Well, that's probably
because
true.
the medical
Yeah.
examiner's report said something about asphyxiation from physical
did,
restraint, which
yeah.
I don't believe. I'm sorry, I don't buy. I watched it. I've physically restrained people many, many times.
Yeah.
I know what asphyxiation is as someone who does grappling. The guy was on PCP and was in excited delirium.
They probably
exactly.
should have controlled him more.
They should have controlled
It
him
looks like
more.
he had
that's
no
true.
control over
That guy is far more likely to hurt himself if he can roll around on the ground. He can cut himself on rocks. His handcuffs can get wedged. He can break a rib.
Yeah.
They should have controlled him better. They didn't. All they did was kind of hold his head down sideways
Tell him
because
to
they didn't know
calm
what
down.
to do. Again,
Yeah.
we need better training for police officers. But in this case, they should have been more controlling. I would have liked to see an NCAA-style pin at that point so that the guy couldn't move, so he's not a harm to himself or to officers.
Right.
We teach this to people who work in mental institutions. I have family members who do. Guess what? Do you know what a straitjacket is? Learn to become a human straitjacket. That's what they teach these people to subdue mentally disturbed patients.
Right, or people on PCP who can't feel pain at all and will just keep coming
that's
at
just
you,
incredibly
right?
dangerous. You're about to say something there.
You know, when it comes to it, I just can't help but think that these officers clearly were trying to do their job. There was far away from any kind of animus. But if what we're saying is that these officers need to be trained better, it just runs counter to everything that BLM is pushing right now.
Oh, yeah,
and everything that's going out there in the narrative. It isn't less funding, it's more funding. It's more funding to get better training. If we all agree that there's a training issue, not in every department, not every officer, right? But if there is a training issue, then we are all agreed in needing to fund the police more.
And you know what? The only view that is consistent is the view of conservatives who believe in more training, meaning more funding right now, so it's proper. Because you look at Governor Whitmer in Michigan, well, she's defunding the police. She wants to defund the police. She's upgrading her own security by over $1 million right now. Well, why would you need to do that?
Yeah,
why do you get to upgrade
connected.
security? Now, I have no problem with someone who has private security. Just don't tell me that because I can't afford private security, I can't carry my own firearm, which is a constitutionally protected right. I have no problem with someone having hounds that they can release and having fences and having gates. Walls work. I have no problem with them having a Ring doorbell system, whatever the hell it is that you guys. You have no problem upgrading their security. Just don't tell me that my municipal police have to be defunded because you need more votes. They are not consistent with this. You see it with the mayor in Portland who left his condo. You see it in Missouri with that prosecutor with the McCloskeys who's like, I'm actually under threat, so I need to be safe here. And you see it with the governor of Michigan. So there is security for me and not for thee. I'm saying, hey, how about security for everybody?
That would be a very nice thing for
Let's
everybody.
keep all the people safe because it's one of the few legitimate roles of the government. How about we start with that?
Well, and if you want to ask the question, who in America really thinks that you need to rely on yourself to defend? Ask the millions of people who were first-time gun owners during coronavirus.
Yes,
the millions who signed up since the George Floyd riots, right? I mean, these are individuals of all ages, skin colors, ethnicities, religions, backgrounds who are saying, I don't believe that I can be safe without having something to defend myself with. And I'm not going to be a part of anyone, any party, any candidate who says, I don't think a young woman should be able to defend herself.
Right.
Just not going to be a part of it. And I don't think any true American should knowingly
even more than that. Not only will they say, I don't believe that a woman should be able to defend herself, but when a woman is allegedly sexually assaulted, as we saw with Jacob Blake, and goes through the process of notifying police officers, having a restraining order put out, there's an active warrant for Jacob Blake's arrest, and then he breaks back into her house, steals her keys, and she calls the officers again and says, hey, remember that guy reported for rape? He's here. Thank you, ma'am, for doing the right thing. We'll stay in constant communication. The media, not a peep. Because they don't care about the victims unless they are useful for them that day. Right now, in any other scenario, this black police chief should be, if he were out there bashing Trump, like they've done with military officials who may have at some point done a tour, they were a private and got out, who knows? There are a lot of people coming out who are like, I was in the military at one time. Oh, why were you dishonorably discharged? These are details.
Right. And it doesn't
I
even
hate
matter.
Donald Trump. They would do that with this police sergeant. Let me read you his quote. Okay? This is a quote from the police chief. He said that he had a problem with the mischaracterization and the politicization of the actions that I took after being informed of Mr. Prude's death. As a man of integrity, I will not sit idly by while outside entities attempt to destroy my character. The events over the past week are an attempt to destroy my character and integrity. Hey, Sergeant, welcome to the club, because we've been experiencing that for a long time. That's what the left does. They destroy your character to try and say that you're no longer a story worth telling, that you are not a valuable tool for them. Now, notice something else. We read the quote talking about the assassination on character, how it bothers this man, how he's been an upstanding police sergeant. By all metrics that we have available to us, by all reports, we didn't say, hey, white people blame black officer, because that's not what matters. You know what matters? Exactly. A good man is being blamed for doing something wrong. But not only, I will say with Daniel Prude, not only didn't do anything wrong, these police did the right thing, including the ones who are minorities. You let me, again, send me one. Send me one video, just like Chris Cuomo with one dunk. One dunk on a 10-foot rim.
20 tries.
You can send me one, and I'll give you 20 tries.